shootings are on the rise, and the teachers and administration need new ways to counteract this problem. So, resolve that trained school officials should be able to carry firearms in school. By trained school officials, I mean any staff of private or public schools, including teachers, custodians, or administration, which have taken police training classes, have a permit to carry a concealed firearm, and have passed mental health checks. We are debating this topic today because there has been a recent increase in school shootings. Some parents and teachers feel uncomfortable with their children in school. Again, resolve that trained school officials should be allowed to carry firearms in school. Allowing teachers to carry firearms is necessary because the recent increase in school shootings cannot be fixed in the present system. If a deranged student or armed criminal attacks a school with a firearm, nobody can protect themselves or others. Also, the police may not be able to arrive before a casualty occurs, whether fatal or otherwise. Therefore, trained school officials should be able to carry firearms in school. The first argument is gun-free schools are targets for criminals and students with guns. In a gun-free zone, nobody will have the ability to protect themselves or others against gun-carrying criminals. If a criminal is looking to kill someone, a gun-free school is a good place to start. And is gun ownership a right? The author states, gun control laws are useless in preventing gun violence on campus. Law-abiding students, employees, and visitors are prohibited from carrying concealed weapons on the campus of Virginia University, but in 2007, a lone gunman legally obtained a gun, killed 33 students and faculty, and wounded 10 others. Many other school shootings have also occurred. Therefore, by the evidence I have stated, it proves that no gun zones are just targets for gunmen. My second point is if teachers have guns in school, the protection and security given to the students would be much greater. If a school shooting started, a teacher trained to use a handgun would be able to protect their students better. As stated by a weekly reader publication, in Herald, Texas, one of their schools is 30 miles away from the nearest police station. They have added many safety measures, including keyless entries, cameras, and phones in the classrooms, but because the Herald School District cannot afford security guards, these measures are not enough. The district has approved some of their teachers to carry guns. The teachers with guns must have a license to carry concealed weapons and training for crisis management and hostage situations. This evidence proves that trained school officials should be able to carry firearms in school. My third point is overall school violence would decrease if teachers could carry firearms. Students would not physically fight each other if they knew a teacher nearby had a gun. Bullying of this sort of shopping would be good for the overall mental health of the school system. The eradication of physical fights would tone down bullying and make parents less anxious for the well-being of their students. Therefore, this proves school violence would decrease if teachers were allowed to carry firearms in school. My fourth argument is all citizens have the right to bear arms, including teachers. The right to bear arms is a constitutional right allowed by the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment states the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Therefore, by allowing teachers to bear arms, we are infringing on the constitutional rights of all citizens. This evidence proves that teachers, being citizens of the United States, should be allowed to carry firearms in school. Teachers carrying firearms in school would go through extensive training and mental health checks. They would need training in hostage situation and crisis management. Also, they would need a permit to carry concealed weapons. This plan will work because teachers will have enough training and knowledge to handle a situation where guns are needed. If teachers carry firearms in school, it is less likely criminals or students will attack. The protection given to the students will be greater, school violence will decrease, and the Constitution will be regarded. As the affirmative, I stand resolved that teachers should be allowed to carry guns in school.
Questions?
Well, do you have evidence to show that our current schools are unsafe? And how do you know that it's a solution instead of something that's being proposed just to make people feel more protected? And are you putting to mind that the budgets would be like really big? And do you think parents would feel safe sending their children to a classroom full of guns? Should I start?
Oh, no, you're fine. You keep going.
With my essay.
Oh, you're fine. Yep.
Yeah. I recognize the affirmative's position that trained school officials should be allowed to carry firearms in school. However, why should there be guns in school when our current system had already sufficiently sustained us? First, who would trained school officials be? How would they be trained? Would they be worked to drill vigorously, or would they just half-heartedly attempt to shoot their targets and be declared fit to shoot a fire in school? If guns were placed in school, the consequences would be near unpredictable. However, the deaths would most likely increase. Even trained police officers only hit their targets 20% of the time. In an atmosphere full of students, anyone could be shot. Guns in school would not be beneficial in any way. The entire prospect of possibly passing the bill is merely a reaction to shooting at schools, not a definite solution. It only makes people feel safe, whereas it might not actually be making the school safer. Our schools are already very safe. According to a government survey, there were only 2 homicides on school grounds during the school day for both 2008 and 2009 combined. Another point would be that concealed guns would detract from a healthy learning environment. It would be hard to learn in the presence of numerous weapons for obvious reasons. Also, more guns in school campus would cause a greater risk factor for students. Administrators authorized to use firearms would not all be law-abiding citizens. Furthermore, nowhere in the proposal does it consider whether teachers would wish to carry a firearm. The funds necessary necessary to train and arm the authorized administrators would be titanic, possibly even taking chunks of teachers' pay. Teachers are supposed to be role models, people you can look up to and people that can educate you. Arming them with firearms could send the wrong message to everyone. Parents wouldn't feel safe sending their children to that classroom where they would be in the presence of weapons. True, the purpose of the guns would be for protection, but parents worry about the safety of their children, not what the guns are intended to do. The gun lobby frequently advances the argument that shooters target gun-free zones because they are unlikely to receive initial resistance. This ignores the fact that homicides and shootings in schools are rare events anyway. For example, in 2003, there were around 12,000 total murders in the United States, but only 10 murders on the nation's college campuses. Yet another point would be that the current amount of people killed on school grounds is low enough. Less than 1% of all homicides among school-age children 5 to 19 years of age occur in or around school grounds or on the way to and from school, because a government survey. In 1992, there were only 55 killings in America's school. In 1997, it was down to 25. By contrast, 88 people were killed by lightning in 1997. And while the gun homicide publication may have grown, that does not mean that the homicides have increased. Between 1992 and 1996, the homicide rate dropped by 20%, but the number of homicides reported on network news increased by 721%. In the 1998 to 99 academic year, 3,523 students were expelled for bringing a firearm to school, reports the U.S. Department of Education. This is a decrease from the 5,724 students expelled in the 1996 to 97 school year for bringing a firearm to school, but the numbers are still not very good. If that many people brought guns to school while guns were absolutely inappropriate for school, imagine the crisis we would be in if there were guns allowed in school. Also, according to the Josephson Institute of Ethics, 60% of high school and 31% of middle school boys said they could get a gun if they wanted to. Any frustration, depression, anger, or carelessness could lead to a student getting hold of a firearm and beginning an emergency. Also, if the guns in school were temporary measures until the police reached school, imagine how confused the officers would be when they arrive on the scene and see a crowd of people all pointing guns at each other. Who would be arrested? How would the police figure out who is guilty and innocent? It would be a nightmare. In summary, firearms would not be a workable aid for school safety.
Questions?
Yes. The negative stated that the police officers, when they arrived on the scene, would be confused if many people were shooting at each other, but wouldn't the teachers just be using the guns as safety measures and not really shooting? The negative also stated that funds would be extremely high, but wouldn't the funds just be taken out of a teacher's pay if they wanted to carry a gun? The negative also stated that teachers are role models, but if a teacher had the ability to protect the students better, wouldn't they be an even better role model than they are now? And that is the end of my question.
2 minutes for affirmative.
Yeah, I don't need any prep time. Training school officials. Wait. Okay. The negative stated that the rate of guns brought to school by students has risen in the past few years, and they also stated with that this allowing students to bring guns to school would increase the number of school shootings. But the proposal is not to allow students to bring guns to schools, but for teachers to bring guns to school. Also, the negative stated that having teachers to carry guns is not a solution to the problem of school shootings. But if a teacher could stop a school shooting before anyone got injured, then it is a solution. Also, the negative stated that having guns in school subtracts from a healthy learning environment. But students would not be around the guns. They would be away. And the teachers would be able to protect the students, which would make a healthier learning environment. Also, the negative stated that less than 1% of students are killed in school shootings, or less than 1% of children are killed in school shootings, but that is for students being killed. It depends on the number of people, because if it is a large number of students, then it would also 1%. It would also be a large number of students, and that would still be a problem which needs to be solved. The negative also stated that with teachers carrying guns in school, the death rate would go up. But if teachers would be able to stop school shootings before they got going, then the death rate would go down, because the school shooting would not ever completely occur.
Fine. You want a minute of prep?
Yeah. The affirmative stated that if police officers arrive, they would be sure to know that the teachers were using guns as safety for the students. But it would be possible that teachers could be committing a crime, because not all of them are law-abiding. And the affirmative also stated that the funds would be taken out of the teachers' pay, but not all teachers would support funds being taken out of their pay, because not all of them would support the ideas of guns in school. And the affirmative also said that teachers would be better role models if they could protect the students. But as stated, police officers only hit their targets 20% of the time, and their teachers could hit their students, and it would be a crisis. And then the affirmative also stated that we need new ways to solve the gun murders, but there are other solutions other than putting guns in school, such as like maybe relocating some minor police stations by the schools. And
You want a minute of prep?
Okay. Okay. The negative stated that when the police arrived, they would be confused because the teachers could not be law-abiding and might be the ones committing the crime. But if a teacher would be holding the gun, would be able to bring the gun in school, they would have first had to pass mental health checks and gone through extensive training which would have proved that they were a law-abiding citizen. Also, the negative stated that most teachers would not want funds taken out of their pay, especially if they did not support having guns in school. But if teachers do not have to bring guns to school if they do not want to. Also, the negative stated that 20% of the time police officers do not hit their targets, and that teachers might hit their students. But teachers would be using the guns as a preventative measure and would most likely not be firing the guns unless they absolutely had to. Also, the negative stated that a police station could be moved closer to the school, but this is a new point that was not stated in the original constructive speech.